Hello, welcome to the latest video for the Knowledge Center for Unanet. This video covers an example case study on how to effectively use multiple plan sets. For more information, you can go to our website at www.unanet.com. So let's get started. So this is an example of a particular customer that uses multiple plan sets. And I wanted to set the stage here to give the example that I've got set up in my demo system of a cost plus contract. We're going to start out with a cost proposal before award. And we're going to use that planning grid, that people planner, to assign and plan some people, resources. And then we're going to use multiple plan sets to be able to manipulate the working versions and baseline versions and be able to compare. So our multiple plan sets does need to be enabled by a property setting by the administrator. In addition, in this scenario, we recommended 4 different types of plan set names to be defined under the admin setup. Propose, which is just what it implies, proposal of costs associated with resources and expenses associated with a plan set. So a plan set is that soft booking of resources and expenses to a project. Then when we have the award, we would baseline or maybe even lock a baseline copy of that plan set and name that as the baseline. And then from there, we'd have a working copy that we would push or promote our assignments for the workforce authorization of people to start to charge time on that project. If we have some additional scope that comes from the requirements from a customer, we might make another copy and determine that that's a what-if scenario, a sandboxing area for the project managers to play around with some additional scope of resources and expenses to apply to that project or contract. So the initial process is somewhat like this. We have an initial plan cost proposal, and we would identify that with the plan set called proposed. And then once we have the award, we would copy that to a plan set and name that plan set as baseline. And we may even lock that particular baseline, make a copy. And when you lock the baseline plan set, it creates a copy, and we would name that copy the working copy, that working version 1 copy. And that working version is always the latest version, and that's the one we always push our assignments or authorize our workforce to start to charge time for that project. Now, if a change in staff comes into play, then we would make a copy of that working version and call it version 2 and make any adjustments in the people planner to hours or resources, whatever adjustments that we need to make. I can even compare those 2 different versions of that working plan set by a plan set comparison report, which I'll show you. And then that latest version will have the changes, the modifications, and I always want to promote from that latest version. So I would promote my new assignments or any changes in assignments via the working version 2. Now, if the customer comes back and has additional scope, then I might want to do some sandboxing to figure out how I'm going to be able to accommodate that with my resources and what additional funding that I might need to ask for that to be able to cover that additional scope. So I would copy that latest working version, that version 2, to a what-if plan set. I would add the additional resources and expenses to that what-if scenario, and I can compare that what-if scenario to my current working version to be able to see what the difference in cost would be and the additional funding that I might need to ask for. And I might determine that what if the particular what if scenario that I want to go with is the one that I want to start work with, and the customer has actually given me authorization to do that and will give me additional funding. And so I would call that version 3. I would rename that what if scenario to the latest working version, and that would be working version 3. And then again, pushing my assignments from that latest working version. So let's take a look at that in action in my demo system here. Okay, so I first wanted to show the admin setup area here for my plan set names and show you the actual plan set names that I've created here. And the current one is the proposed, as the cost proposal one indicates. Then when I have a baseline, once the award of the contract is in place, I would copy that to a baseline. And then I would then copy that to my first working version and then promote from there my assignments. And then of course the what if plan set name is for that sandboxing area to be able to determine scenarios and additional impact of costs in the sandbox area here without impacting anyone else. So let's take a look at my project. I've got a cost plus project, and here's my initial plan set name, and it's in the proposed. And I do have a grid planner set up that I'm going to go to of some additional resources that I have identified that's going to work on this proposal. So I've identified that I'm going to plan Emma and Elaine on this proposal. The proposed plan set name is the proposed version 1. It's the active one. It's the only one at this point in time. And you can see here that I've got 2 people assigned to this for the duration of the project. I can look to see that information on that proposal via a forecasting report. So let's take a look at that project periodic cost proposal report. And I can see here, looking at that plan, and it's the current version, it looks to me like here are my direct costs, and here are my expenses that I've got planned. And adding my overhead costs, you can see my intended projected revenue and fee percentage and profit percentage as well. So this is my cost proposal in essence. Okay, so let's go back to that grid planner. If I go ahead and we save that scenario, because I like that, and at some point in time the customer comes back and says, okay, now you've won the award, so I want to go ahead and baseline this particular plan set and make that my baseline. So what I would do here is make a copy of this proposed plan set, make that my baseline, and let's update that description just a bit. This is my initial agreed plan. Now, in the scenario, you could even lock this particular baseline so it can't be changed at all. So you have an initial baseline you could always compare to that would never ever change. Now in my case, I'm just going to make another copy of it. When you lock it, it automatically creates yet another copy at version 2. We're going to rename that to be a working version. So let me go ahead and make a copy of that. It's going to be my working version. I'm going to make that active, and I'm going to call it that my working version initial set. And remember, the working version is the one that I'm going to promote from. So let me look at my plan sets, and I'm going to assign my plans. And again, the active one is that working version, version 1, and I'm going to promote my plans easily and notify everybody that they're authorized to start charging time, lead, and the actual users that are assigned here, and save. So now they know they can start to charge time to this project. Now, as time progresses, I may need to have some shifting in my workforce. I've had some kind of a change in staff. Maybe somebody's gone on an extended leave of vacation. So I can make a copy. And again, I'm going to make a copy of this working version, make that active, and it's going to be working version 2. So if I make a copy of that, you'll see now I have the working version 2, and I can make changes on this one because this is the one that I want to be able to track the changes from version 1 to version 2. So let's go to my people planner. Let's see here. Back to my planner. I first want to change that plan set name for the version 2 because I always want to work on the latest version, and I'm going to add a few more people as options to include for my changes here. Let's see. And I can tell in my grid planner if there's anybody that's available that could work on this. And it looks like Eileen might be someone that's available to work on this. So I might go ahead and add Eileen as another resource to add to it if I'm behind schedule or for whatever the reason is, somebody's on vacation, I need to make some changes. So I'm going to go ahead and default that to the labor category, use the cost rate from her person profile, and save that. Save that plan. I can run some comparison reports. Let's take a look at that plan set comparison report. Actually, I want to look at the plan version report. Sorry. So we're going to look at plan set version comparison. So I'm going to look at the plan set project, and I'm going to look at working version number 1 and maybe working version number 2, and actually even show the difference between 2 and 1. And we'll just show that working difference here. This is my plan set. So I'm looking at the difference between working version 1 and the current working version 2. And you can see I have a few differences here in my hours, those additional hours, and my additional labor costs that I have to account for if I make this type of change. All right, considering that I'm go ahead and I'm good to make that change, I'm going to use the current plan set, that working version 2 plan set here, and it's active. And you want to make sure that it's the latest one, the active one. Then I can go ahead and promote these particular plans. You'll see here it'll take those, the system knows to take those changes that I added Eileen and notify her and save that. And now the assignments are there for that change in staff. Now, if I have the scenario where I've got additional scope of work from the customer, I might not want to impact anything here with the working version, but I want to make a copy of that latest plan and just sandbox and play around with some information here. So let me go ahead and make that my what if scenario here so I can do some playing around and sandboxing and see what that impact is of those additional costs. So I'm in the what if scenario here. Maybe this customer has added some additional scope, so I want to make a quick change here. I'll add this integration task here that I originally didn't have before. And maybe I want to plan that resource to this additional scope here. So let's go back to my grid planner. And let's look at plan sets. Okay, so now I have this what if. I just wanted to make sure that that's the active plan. And I'm going to go to my planner here and make another change to, again, I've saved it. So I'm going to change it to my what if scenario here. And I'm going to plan for that one new task that has the additional scope of information. And I'll see who else might be available to work on that new additional scope. I'm not sure I have any resources that are available there. So let's see if any of these people are available to work. Okay, so maybe I can have Ethel start on May 1st. So it seems like I would put her full-time. We'll put her full-time for those next couple of months for that integration task, the additional work. And I can come and compare that information, this what if version 1, with some plan set comparison reports that I've got saved here. So I've got the latest working version and that what if scenario, and I can see what the additional costs in labor costs might be for that. And so I'll need to see the funding that's available from the customer to be able to cover those costs for that additional scope or change request. Now, if that is accepted by everyone, the customer and you, I can go back to my project plan sets, and I can copy this to my latest working version and make that active. And that's going to be my working version number 3. Let's see here if I can do this correctly. Version number 3. And I want to use that version 3, the latest version, to push those assignments. So I would go to my people plans. It's the latest one, working version 3 here. I'm listing those. And then I'm going to assign those plans. Again, working version 3 here. It's the active one, the latest one. And I'll go ahead and push those assignments and notify the user. Okay, so now let's take a look at that cost proposal one more time and see that it has additional costs in it. And I might want to take an effect and readjust my actual budgets and my funded value based on that information. Okay, so let's go back to my PowerPoint here. And I just wanted to revisit the benefits of that perfect example of the multiple plan sets. Why would you want to use that? Well, you've got the historical records of every one of those scenarios. It's saved, and I can go and be able to report on that. I compare the different ones. The working plans are all there to compare and look at the latest. Now, you're only authorizing your workforce based on the latest working approved plan. Those previous assignments are still there. If there are any changes or new assignments, those are added to that workforce authorization. You can easily switch back and forth between the plans on that grid planner. You saw that. And just ensuring that which plan is your latest working plan for the cost proposal and the periodic performance report. It's the active plan. You have an ability to have a sandbox area to play in with that what if scenario plan set. And you can add additional resources, maybe even change the rates if you need to, decide what to do without impacting the current working plan or that locked baseline. And with Unanet's reporting capability, you can compare costs with the plan set comparison and even compare versions of plan sets with many levels of granularity, showing the costs at the project level, at the task level, and even at the resource level. So thank you for joining me again for this Knowledge Center entry. If you have additional questions, please see the www.unanet.com. Thank you.